let's start with a quick clip of this guy, John Hagee. And when I first, he is a pastor, when I first heard that he was on the bill, and there wasn't that many people on the bill. It was like, what, 10, 12 people, was it?
Michael Rappaport.
God. Van Jones.
Yeah. There wasn't, I mean, how many people were on that bill? I don't know. I saw a list, and maybe there was more. Maybe it was like 25. But this guy was deemed too toxic for John McCain back in 2008. Like, this is one of the things, I'm quite convinced I've written about him in FUBAR. He was one of the most virulent anti-Semites. And when I saw that he was going to be on this this pro-war rally out in front of the White House, I thought it was a joke. And then I recalled it was like 7 or 8 that were billed. I mean, so he is one of, like, one of the top speakers at this. And I recall a couple of interviews that Michael did back in the day, and specifically talking about the relationship with Bibi Netanyahu. And a lot of these Israelis, they were making relations not only with hard right fasci parties in Europe, but all of these, in many instances, very virulent anti-Semitic people.
Christian Zionists.
Christian Zionists. And, we joke about it here that these people only care about Jews insofar as that we can be sent back to Israel. 2/3 of us go into eternal hellfire. 1/3 sit on the right-hand side of God, but, as sort of like post-Jewy guys. And this guy, let's play this clip.
No, that's what he actually believes. This is the embodiment of that entire ideology.
Let's play clip number 5, actually. This is from 2005. This is why Israel is so important to these Christian Zionists. This is clip number 5. Because all they care about is that the Jews get back to Israel so that the Messiah can return. And if it takes a Hitler to do it, yeah, thank goodness for small blessings, I guess.
Jeremiah 16, behold, I will bring them, the Jewish people, again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. That would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Behold, I will send for many fishers, and after will I send for many hunters. And they, the hunters, shall hunt them, that will be the Jews, from every mountain and from every hill and from out of the holes of the rocks. If that doesn't describe what Hitler did in the Holocaust, you can't see that. So think about this. I will send fishers and I will send hunters. A fisher is someone who entices you with a bait. How many of you know who Theodore Herzl was? How many of you don't have a clue who he was? Woo! Sweet God. Theodore Herzl is the father of Zionism. He was a Jew that at the turn of the 19th century said, this land is our land. God wants us to live there. So he went to the Jews of Europe and said, I want you to come and join me in the land of Israel. So few went. Herzl went into depression. Those who came founded Israel. Those who did not went through the hell of the Holocaust. Then God sent a hunter. A hunter is someone who comes with a gun and he forces you. Hitler was a hunter. And the Bible says, Jeremiah writing, they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill out of the holes of the rocks, meaning there's no place to hide. And that will be offensive to some people. Well, dear heart, be offended. I didn't write it. Jeremiah wrote it. It was the truth and it is the truth.
There you go.
How did it happen?
I mean, imagine if, like,
Jeremiah didn't write the Hitler part.
Yeah, he's extrapolating a little.
There's some interpretation going on.
But I suppose, Hitler sent by God to help with the founding of Israel. That may be a little bit controversial. Apparently not at this pro-war rally that Israel's lobbyists set up in front of the White House. Here is that same guy. I wonder if he delivers that same line. Let's hear it.
Freedom-loving democracy. Israel is this and more. Israel is the apple of God's eye. Israel is the shining city on the hill. God says of Israel, Israel is my firstborn son. Jerusalem is the city of God. Jerusalem is the shoreline of eternity. Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel today and forever.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever needed more reason to understand and ability to understand why Zionism is not the same as Judaism. In Judaism, we don't believe that God had a son. We don't believe in idols. I mean, technically, the Torah commands us to smite those who believe in idols. I don't take these things so literally. But make no mistake about it, that was a pro-war rally. That had nothing to do with anti-Semitism, because if it did, you wouldn't have dedicated one of the top 7 or 8 billed people to a renowned anti-Semite.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
Yeah, and it did.
Whoops! How did that anti-Semite get on there?
They're trying to redefine what anti-Semitism actually means in order to cover for the continued genocide of Arabs and brown people. Like, they're trying to, and it's a very scary thing, make anti-Semitism about people who stand in the way of white capitalist power and like Western hegemony in places like the Middle East, exerting its influence through blood. And in opposition to that, they're trying to say that those people are in any ways the anti-Semites, when Semites were, you know, outsiders. Semites were persecuted, as opposed to like what they're thwarting it into and manipulating it into is now being the center of power in the world and in the West. That is not what anti-Semitism is about. And it's evident in the fact that that guy's speaking there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pro-war rally. It was a pro-Israel war rally is what it was. Angel from Alberta says the Israel on Campus Coalition gave grants of $250 plus expenses for college students to go to rally. In the fun half, Emma will talk about the story of a private jet that they didn't want to walk on the tarmac, apparently.
Yeah, they chartered private jets to get there.
But here, let's play this one last clip of, and we'll play some others later. But here is political commentator Van Jones. And I will say this, look, for years, and I know that I've sort of alluded to this a couple of times over the years. I interviewed him, I don't know, about 10 years ago on this program, back when we were just doing audio. And I remember that interview just thinking like, what? He had made a big deal at Netroots Nation as to wanting to create a left version of the Tea Party. And I remember asking him, like, and who are we talking about? Like, who are, I don't know if I said the enemies or, you know, and there are none. It's there as if there is no sort of like, there's no thing stopping people from getting material benefits in this country. No person, no group, no aligned interests.
Just a lack of focus.
It's just it's just happening out there. And, you know, since that time, it's become quite clear to me that, like, wherever there is an opportunity for Van Jones to be the guy who can sort of be pushing back on something, but not really, he'll be there. And this is one of those instances, but he is so thrown off in attempting to call for, like, Israel to, I mean, he didn't realize, apparently, this is a pro-war rally.
How do you not realize that?
They are there to promote more war, period, like explicitly. And he didn't seem to realize this. He says something that even alludes to the fact that there should be some hesitancy to bomb civilians. And they start cheering for no ceasefire so strongly that he gets thrown off. And listen to what he says.
I do feel powerful is to maybe do something about what's happening here. Let's take a stand here against anti-Jewish bigotry. Let's take a stand against Muslim. Let's take a stand here against hatred. Let's take a stand here against hatred of all kinds. I don't want any Jewish mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he apologized. He said, my speech read, let's stand against anti-Jewish bigotry. Let's stand against anti-Muslim bigotry here. Let's stand against hate here. But and he says on Twitter, but the chanting crowd threw me off and I misspoke. We need to stand with Muslims and Jews and everyone who is under threat.
I mean, I don't doubt that he had originally sort of said, let's stand against Muslim bigotry. But the idea that like he walked into this situation and didn't realize how virulently pro-war and just these people were, it threw him off.
He must have been born yesterday. I don't understand how you're a political commentator and don't have that understanding.
I mean, it's kind of his thing, though. But I mean, that's bane for blood. Like when you hear that phrase, like that is, it's really sickening.
And by the way, a majority of Americans do not agree with anybody there.
The polling has really begun to turn on Israel, and really to no surprise. I mean,
like bombing hospitals.
no surprise here. Yeah. There really is no surprise. And it's going to keep going in this way. And it's just a question of like, who is going to be, I mean, really with the Biden administration at this point, all I can think of is, when John Kerry went in front of that commission back when he had returned from Vietnam and said, who is going to be the last man to die for this mistake. And, it really is going to be a question of like, how many thousands of civilians' lives could have been saved for what is going to be ultimately an outcome that could have been arrived at 3 weeks ago. But that's where we're at right now. And really, I have absolutely no empathy for Van Jones. I misspoke. I feel bad. Whatever.
No.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I just like to show up there, and we should also say, Mike Jones was there.
Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Johnson, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries,
Joni Ernst, holding hands, raising their hands in the air together, saying, we stand with Israel, which means you stand with Israel's actions right now. That's the context of that. And that image of those lawmakers will be shown in history books.
So gross.
And not in the way that they think. Or maybe they're willing to take that risk, but it's still like it's a complete devil's bargain. I don't know how someone like Jeffries, sleeps at night, honestly, on that. So
I mean, you can not go. You can have some other appointment on that day.